Your secrets, if you really look at yourself, you would be speechless. What happened to being doctors and teachers? What happened to being your brother's keeper? Nowadays kids more worried about the
Zypra here with class 11 for you, and sorry it's been such a long time since the last video. I've just been kind of not working on it really because the my upload used to be really bad and it used to take forever to upload a video, and the internet was so bad that I couldn't actually really like play any games or anything, so I was kind of unable to really upload for a while. But I did upgrade my internet only recently, probably about 12 hours ago now. So I'm bringing you the final video of the basic guide series. Hopefully it will upload a ton faster, and I should hopefully be able to play my games as well. So I'll go ahead and get started on the DK. So these are the talents I've gone for because I want them always where possible to benefit the unholy spec. And basically unholy is kind of a bit like warlock and a bit like boomkin. You kind of spread dots around on people and just like slowly take them down, but you can also do a ton of damage. So I went for that one because it infects the target, and it also adds an extra 4 seconds to your dots, and it also adds an extra stack of necrotic plague, which is what you're going to want to take at 100 because it's another dot, or at least that's what I'd take anyway. Took Lichborn because you become undead for 10 seconds, so you can't get charmed, fear, or put to sleep, such as the warlock pet. Fixate for the stun. Runic corruption because you got a chance to get a really fast rune generation rate. Conversion just for the heals because I think that's going to be more beneficial than a lot of them. And remorseless winter for the stun. So basically what you got to do is you just use your well, that just applies the frost fever. That proc there's death coil, not requiring any runic power, so you can just fire that straight away. Doesn't use any of that. But the icy touch will just put a frost fever on, and then a blood move. Not sure if I can find one. Don't think that would work. No. There is another move as well that just applies the other dot, which is the okay, I can't find anything to just apply it, so we'll just ignore that. But the icy touches just applies the frost fever. If you use the plague strike at number 4, you apply both of them. That's both the blood plague and the frost fever. So you can just pump out some damage. You got Death Strike at 1 to heal you, 2's Death Grip to grip them over, 3 is the Icy Touch as I showed you. Plague Strike is the one that puts both the dots on them. That's the one you want to be using. Scourge Strike just hits them for a load of damage, and Death Coil is the one that you use with runic power to build up, well, to do damage, and you also build up stacks if you got your goal summoned. Raise Dead is to resummon a ally. I believe that's the one anyway. I'm just gonna double check that. Don't want to get it wrong. No, sorry. Raise Ally is to resurrect a dead teammate that you can use. I don't think you can use it in arena though. That one will bring up your goal, which is called Raise Dead. And basically, when you got him out, when you get your proc for that, you fire it, and you'll get a stack of Shadow Infusion, which means your pet does more damage. And as you build up these stacks to, I believe it's 5 you need to get it to, you can use a move to enhance him, and that's really good to use with your damage as well. So if I just build it up, 5 stacks, as you see I got that proc there, which is the Shadow Infusion, which means I can actually use it on Dark Transformation, which is there. Go ahead, pop that. He turns into that big guy, and then he does a ton of damage. Not sure if it says here. There you go. Damage dealt increased by 100%, so that's a ton more damage from the pet. Plus you'll be able to summon the gargoyle, Not too sure where to find. There it is. You just be able to use that as well. That does a ton of damage too. That'd be part of your burst. You'd also be able to use some other stuff as well, and just basically drop some people really fast. That one's going to be your heal, so it's going to consume the your runic power to heal you up, and then it ends when you run out. The empowered rune weapon just restores all depleted runes. So if I just smack down, use up a ton of these runic power, as you can see up here, I'm using a lot of them, and they're kind of running out. You'd be able to use this spell here, and it resets them all, just like that. And you can see they're glowing because they've just been reset, and that's a 5-minute cooldown. That's the one makes you like undead, so you can't get feared, etc, etc. That one there, it basically makes you immune to stun effects. It will break you out of stun effects, so you can use it while you're in a stun. It's like a trinket from stuns, and you reduce all damage taken by 20%, and that's a 3-minute cooldown. Remorseless Winter, it surrounds you like that, and it stacks, as you can see there. It slows their movement speed till it eventually stuns them at 5 stacks, and it's DLs with most stuns, so try and use it before anyone else uses their stun in arena. That one there is the Festering Strike, and what that does is it deals a certain amount of damage, and it increases the duration of your Blood Plague, Frost Fever, and your Chains of Ice, if you've got the Chains of Ice, by 6 seconds. And the runes you spend on that ability will become Death Runes, and Death Runes count as any kind of runes. So if I just use Fester Strike, it's increasing the duration again, and then I've got loads of Death Runes, and those Death Runes I'd be able to use as Plague Strikes. So I'd be able to put out some more dots on other people, for example. So that's quite a good move to have. The Blood Boil is just like an AoE damage. It's mostly used for tanking. I wouldn't really use it in arena, or at least I don't think I would. I don't think it's very viable to use. Mind Freeze is basically a kick, so you interrupt their cast, a bit like a Skull Bash for a Druid. Outbreak, it instantly applies both the plagues to them as well, so I could just use it on that guy. He's got some of those plagues. That's good to use if you're out of if you've like completely depleted all your runes, then you can just use that to put some more dots on someone else. At shift 3 there, you've got your Horn of Winter, which increases the attack power of all party and raid members by 10%, so that's your buff there. One at shift 4 is Anti-Magic Shield. You basically absorb, or I'm going to absorb 15k magic damage, so for example, if a mage casts Frostbots on me, I go immune to them. Also, if a druid's casting Cyclone, it's a good way to avoid it if you just use that defensively. Now, this is never really used in arena, but you do have Army of the Dead, and you just summon up a ton of ghouls that attack your target. Not really used in arena at all because it's not really that viable. Soul Reaper is like kind of your execute if you use it when someone's below 35% health. After 5 seconds, if they're still below that 35% health, it does a ton of damage to them. But you can use it when they're above 35% health, but what you really want to do is get them below that 35% just to hit a huge amount of damage. So that's that one. Dark Simulacrum. I'm not really too sure how to pronounce it. Simulacrum, I guess. Dark Simulacrum, something like that. Basically what that does is you place it on an enemy, and it will last 8 seconds. If nothing's done in the 8 seconds, then it just expires. But basically, when an enemy casts a spell, then you copy that spell. So, for example, you put it on a Druid, he goes ahead, he casts Cyclone, you get Cyclone, and then you're able to use that Cyclone on someone else. So it's a good cooldown for you there. You've got the Summon Gargoyle there as well, which I've spoke about, and then you've got Chains of Ice, which just like roots them and slows them. Not sure, yeah, it just says slowed, but I believe you can glyph it to completely root them to the spot. Either that or it's a talent. I think it's a talent there. Victims who ISO chains are immobilized for 3 seconds. Yeah, it looks like it's that talent, and that also applies Frost Fever to the target as well. but it basically just slows them. It's a good method for kiting, and it does use up, unfortunately, your frost runes. So your pet's got some attacks here. He's got claw. He's got that as well. And it says below you got dark transformation as well. So I believe you can. I'm sure there is one which like stuns the maybe not. I thought you could stun with this pet, but it doesn't look as if it does. But that's your bar there for your goal. Your goal is not really well, it does do quite a bit of damage, but you need to get your stacks from the death coils. So that's kind of the way you'd play Unholy. So what I'm going to do is I'll swap over to the Frost, and I won't cover all the moves that I've already covered. I just cover moves sort of typical to the Frost specs that you can get an idea for how Frost works as well. So I'll see you in just a minute. Again. I've literally just got the bars set up for Frost now. I'm not going to show any of the other moves as I've already covered them. So basically you've got a minute cooldown for your Pillar of Frost, which increases your strength by 15%, and it gives you an immunity to external movement effects like knockbacks. So you can't get like Typhooned back, for example, and I don't think roots do like a lot to you, or at least that's what I get from this move, but I haven't actually tried it out in arena myself, as I don't have a Death Knight, but I believe it should do that. Anyway, a knockback like the Explosive Tramp from a Hunter or a Typhoon from a Druid, it's just not going to work. So when you want to do damage, you use your Trinket with your Pillar of Frost, and then you just be able to do some damage. So you can put up your Frost Plague. You're going to want to use the Plague Strike as well, just to be able to get that Blood Plague up. And you're going to want to, well, you can use Howl and Blast, it's kind of AoE, and then you just going to want to Frost Strike, and you should at some point get a proc for Obliterate at some point, or when you use Obliterate, sorry, you get a proc for, or you do get a proc for it. So you get a guaranteed crit on your Obliterate of Frost Strike, that's that one there, and then there's the other one. Also did something else. I'm just going to have to get that proc back really quick. That's the one that we don't want. When I use that, okay. Your next Icy Touch or Howling Blast will use no runes and generate no runic power, so you just basically get a free move. So if you just use Obliterate, you get the proc for the Howling Blast or the Icy Touch, and you can get a proc for the Obliterate as well. But that's the DK kind of Frost is like, it has a huge amount of procs that you're going to need to use, and you can align it up with the Pillar of Frost for extra strength as well. You do have your Death Strike for a heal, so I could just Pillar of Frost there, do a Frost Strike, get a proc. I can do an Obliterate for 8k, and that was quite a good hit. And then I could just Frost Strike again, Obliterate, that kind of thing, just do a ton of damage with that Pillar of Frost. And that's just kind of how Frost works, really. You do want to ideally get up the Disease Plagues as well, or the Disease Dots, sorry, because they do quite a bit of damage. So that's kind of the basics. So when you get the procs, you're going to want to use some of your moves with these procs just to enhance your damage. For example, the Killer Machine proc that gives you the guaranteed crit on one of your hits, which is really nice because you're going to want to get a crit. And then the other one that consumes no runes and uses no runic power, it's just kind of an extra bit of damage really to apply. The fact that it doesn't give you any runic power isn't a huge issue, because it's just the extra hit you're able to get off, really. So that's kind of that for Frost. One thing I do need to cover that I didn't actually cover was these here. So basically, Blood Presence increases your stamina, increases your armor, and reduces the damage you take. So it's kind of a bit like Bear Form for a Druid. It's kind of the tanky part for Death Knight. The Frost Presence strengthens. Well, I'm not going to read all that to you, but it increases the runic power regeneration by 20%, which is really good. It reduces the cost of your Frost Strike, and reduces the duration effects that remove the control of your character by 20%. So it basically is just going to reduce, I guess it's going to reduce roots and that kind of thing, because I don't think I've ever seen a DK in Frost Presence that doesn't get a full 6-second Cyclone from me when I use Cyclone, so I don't think it works for that, but you mostly just do it for the you just use it kind of for Frost when you want to pump out a ton of damage. And then you got Unholy, which increases your haste and movement speed by 15%. So I mean, if you're getting kited, I guess you're going to want to go Unholy Present just for a bit of speed to catch up with the person if you're Frost. But then you want to go back to Frost to do some damage, and Blood just to take them up. I mean, I haven't really been able to try out too much of the presences, so I won't be able to tell you if it reduces the time of Cyclone that you're stuck in it. But I don't think it works for that kind of CC. I think it's more for like roots and that kind of thing. So please note though, if you do build up runic power, so I'll build up a ton of runic power for you real quick. As you can see, I got some runic power there. I got 60 out of 100. If I was to swap presence, I will lose all that runic power. So try and use up the runic power before you swap stance. So for example, if a warrior is popping recklessness and everything he's got, and you've got some runic power, try and use it up real quickly before he gets across to stun you. Then you can go in blood presence to take no damage if your healer is CC'd, for example. But that'll take quite a lot of practice to get used to, because arenas, like, it's easy for me to say it here, but in the game it's a lot tougher to actually pull off what I just explained there. So it's just all about trying to assess the situation while you're playing, really. I mean, it's easier said than done, unfortunately, but that's that. And there's rune forging as well, which is kind of your enchants for a Death Knight, and you'd be able to look through these and decide which one you want. So for example, this would enchant your sword to give your weapon a chance to heal you for 3% and increase your strength for 20% for 15 seconds. So it's kind of like a proc trinket of its own. Actually, well, all the weapon enchants proc, so it is just like a weapon enchant, but they all do different kind of things. So that one has a chance to heal you for 3%, increase your strength by 20%. That one there increases your armor by 4%, your stamina by 2%. This one reduces... it deflects 4% of the spell damage you take, and it reduces the duration of silence effects by 50%. That one there deflects 2% of damage and reduces the silence effect by 50%. And then it's not cumulative with additional silence effect duration, so actually, that's interesting. I'll come back to that one in just a moment. 5% extra weapon damage is Frost, so that one's really good if you're Frost, I guess, because it will give you a bit of extra damage. And there's that one there that adds 2% extra damage to your weapon, and it says fire damage, so against undead targets. So the one I'd probably go for is the Fallen Crusader, purely just for the chance to proc 20% more strength. That's really, really strong. That's like a ton of strength. So that's kind of what rune forging is. Unfortunately, you have to do that at the Death Knight's I guess you can call it Death Knight's Citadel or something. Let's have a quick look at my okay, the Ebon Hole is what it's called. You just go back to there. So I'll actually go back and I'll show you a weapon being rune forged. Just so you know, how it works. So I'll just use that portal to go. Oh yes, I need to get back to the I need to quickly get back to the Spellbreaker. So basically, when it says it's not cumulative with additional silence duration reductions, for example, it's not like it's not increased if you had what's the easiest way to explain this? Basically, say if you had a like you did in MOP, you had the gems that reduced the silence duration by, I think it's 50%. It doesn't mean, like, you wouldn't be able to have the you wouldn't be able to have 100% silence reduction because of the 50% from the with the 50% from the gem and the 50% from the Spellbreaker Runeforge. It would just be the 50% because it's not going to stack with the metagem, is what I believe they mean, but I could be wrong because I haven't actually tested it out in any games. But I believe that's how it works anyway. So here you get to the Runeforge, and this will be in the Ebon Hold. And then when you're here, so I just engrave Fallen Crusader, click engrave, click on your weapon, and you start to engrave it with the Fallen Crusader enchant. There's that all done. You get that little thing on the floor there, and it says Enchanted Rune of the Fallen Crusader. I don't believe you can have any enchants like Mark of the Bleeding Hollow, Mark of Warsong, that kind of thing. I don't think you're able to have those with it as well. I think it's either your Rune Forges or an enchant from the Grand Exchange. I highly recommend the Runeforge because they're actually really good. So that's going to be everything for the Death Knight guide. If you have any questions about it, be sure to leave it in the comments and I will try and explain it as best possible for you. Once again, I can't stress enough that this is a basic guide. I don't claim to be a really good Death Knight or anything. I'm basically just showing you the basics of the class and stuff that you need to look out for, that kind of thing. And if you like the look of the class, you'd also be able to play it. If you do want to learn how to play Death Knight really well and like pick up tips and tricks, then I would go ahead and watch Mez. He's a really good Death Knight. He also plays Warrior, so you'd be able to check him out for Warrior as well if you wanted to. And you'd be able to see him. He streams sometimes. You'll see him at twitch.tv/notmez, and he'll be able to help you out with some DK tips and tricks. And if you ask a question in his chat, he'll if he sees it, he'll answer it for you. So that's everything for today. Thank you very much guys for watching this basic guide series. This is the final video of this series as well, so there won't be any more class videos for all these classes. This is the last, unfortunately. They've been really good fun to make, and I hope you guys like them. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.